You don't want to answer?
We can all
I'll,
answer.
I'll answer the relevant ones. Okay, for me.
Here we go. Another episode of Clean Breakthrough brought to you by Greenville Transitions. Today we have a special list. It's a list of questions that you should ask a recovery residence before you send a loved one there. And we're not only going to go through the list, we're going to answer these questions for Greenville Transitions as if they were directed to us. But feel free to take this list with you as you're looking into any option.
Everything you need to know. That's it.
Everything you need to know.
Get right
Mhm.
into it. Number one, is the sober living home licensed or certified?
Great question. Greenville Transitions is a licensed facility. It is licensed by SCAR, the South Carolina Alliance of Recovery Residences, which just holds a sober living to a different set of standards. You have like a governing body who's checking in on you, which I think is always good.
Is it licensed by any state body,
No, or that is the state body.
DHEC or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I guess we've had to have Department of Health walkthroughs. That'd be it.
But SCAR is definitely like a higher standard than DHEC as far as what is actually going on in the sober living home.
Yeah, like the specifics related to a sober living, and they're in most states. Like there's FAR for Florida, there's GAR for Georgia. Yeah.
Good deal. Number two, is the home affiliated with any treatment centers or is it independent? Cole, take it away.
Yeah. So Greenville Transition Sober Living is affiliated with a treatment center, which is known as Greenville Transitions Recovery Center, which is also accredited and licensed. We are accredited and licensed by DHEC as well as the Joint Commissions. And so they do site visits, they look at all our paperwork, our licensure of our therapists, and just make sure it's a safe, legit program. But yes, the sober living is affiliated with a treatment center.
And just so everyone knows, DHEC, that's an abbreviation for the Department of Health and Environmental Control, which is just a state license.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, we have a sober living and a therapy center that are affiliated with each other and work hand in hand.
So sober living is like housing, life skills, 12-step meetings, and the office is therapy, psychiatry, medication, and then we blend the two to bring it all together.
Yep.
All right, number three, how long has this sober living been operating? I want to say 8.5 years.
Yeah, right
Right
up
there.
Yep. And then the office has been open for 4.5.
The office opened in January of 2021.
Height of COVID, baby.
Yep.
4.5 on the office, 8.5 on the house. Is there a house manager or live-in staff? Yes, there are live-in recovery coaches. At all times, they have an A and B shift. So when one is there, the other is off. And when the other is on, the other one's off, on a rotating schedule. And their qualifications are a CPSS certification. So
What is
they're
that?
certified peer support specialist. And it's just a training on, how to, like from a peer model perspective, how to walk with someone in recovery, motivational interviewing, accountability, boundaries, all the good stuff for how to best help someone in early recovery, especially in that like living in situation where I think it can be a little bit hairier than maybe, or not hairier, but just different than like a therapist or a doctor or something like that. These coaches they actually live in the house with them when they're there.
Yeah, more practicality based. You want to also tell a little bit about what their coaches do with transportation?
I think that's going to be gotten into later.
Okay, cool.
Moving on, number 5, what are the rules and expectations for residents? That is a massive question.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there.
many rules, many expectations. I mean, so these guys have to make their bed in the morning, do chores. They have a morning meditation every morning that if they're not on time for it, there's consequences. Then they normally go to group or work for the day, depending on how far they are in the program. They take turns cooking dinner for each other. That's another responsibility. There is no bedtime or lights out time. They're just responsible to that or accountable to that morning wake up time of when morning meditation is. I mean, there's obviously tons of rules outside of that. Those are kind of the main ones. Nicotine is allowed. Electronics are allowed. Cell phones are allowed. But all of that is monitored. So, you know, if a guy comes in and he's playing video games like all the time, we're going to have conversations around that and like slowly escalate up until we can kind of get some more, I guess, balance in their life as it relates to like video games or being on their phone or hitting nicotine all the time, whatever the case may be.
In general, I would say like rules and regulations are a spectrum, and Greenville Transitions would fall on the higher end of that. And at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what does your loved one need? Are they the type of person who needs a lot of structure and support around them and a lot of rules and regulations holding them accountable, or are they like self-governing, like they're ready to go kill it, they can do it on their own, they're going to go get the job, they're going to fill out the resume, and that would be like the lower end of the spectrum of a program with not many rules, regulations, not many guidelines of things you need to do throughout the day. You're just kind of on your own in a sober apartment, and we are not that.
For sure. What is the curfew policy? Curfew in phase 1 is guys are basically always with the recovery coach. So there really is not a curfew because they're always going to be with staff. Phase 2, the curfew becomes 10 p.m. But similarly, there's not too much room there because they're really only allowed to drive for work or school at that point. And then going into phase 3, it remains 10 p.m. But now they do have some freedom where they maybe could go out to dinner or something like that. I don't know, some kind of activity in the evening that makes sense and is approved, and they could stay out as late as 10 p.m. And then in our step-up house, which is phase 4 for us, they are allowed to have a curfew of midnight. But they also get overnights over there, so it's not like there's no way to stay out later than that. It just has to be approved ahead of time. So that's the curfew policy. Are there regular drug/alcohol tests, and how often? There are regular drug and alcohol tests. In the main house, every Monday and Thursday are our drug test days. We have 14 panel and 18 panel tests that we use. And that's what tests and how often. We also always throw in randoms just in case to kind of keep guys on their toes and just so that they know that we are paying attention. And sometimes the randoms are truly random and sometimes they're because we think something might be going on. In the step-up house, there's 1 random test per week. So a little bit less testing over there, but with less predictability. So that's drug tests. What happens if someone relapses?
That's a good question. I'll take it.
All right, I just didn't want to take. I didn't want to take them all. I thought Cole might.
Yeah, I mean,
I can take this one if you want.
Do it up, Cole.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of factors with a relapse, like how long it's been going on for, how quickly it was realized, like admitted to or caught on a drug screen. Like we already said, we at least screen twice a week. But typically what happens there is the client is essentially like referred to like a detox if they need to go detox, or to like an inpatient type of escalation of level of care. So if we don't do inpatient care, we're just a structured sober living along with outpatient therapy. They may go to like an inpatient, like shorter term relapse prevention type of program if they're willing to. But the big key word there is willing It's like we try to like talk it out with them, both with the therapist, with the sober living staff, of like what they want to do. There's a lot of family work that goes into that, talking to the parents or the family members who are involved, and letting them know what's going on and trying to find a situation that's going to work best for everybody. Not what Bill Damn House, would you guys describe it? It's very much a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I would say that we believe in second chances with guys. So we've always had a policy of that if somebody wanted to give it another go, again, to Cole's point, was earnest and seemed like they were being honest and really, they just messed up and want to try again. We're big believers in that. We don't want to create that revolving door policy though, where guys just get like right to the end and we've seen this pattern before where like responsibility is the highest, the bar has been raised, and then relapse is just a way to kind of reset that, and then just back to treatment, then back to GT, then through, then relapse back. So we don't want to make that pattern created within the house that you can just kind of relapse whenever, and there's not really consequence as far as like a house perspective. And in the past also we've taken it to the guys as well to see what their thoughts are on it, if they want this person to stay, if they think that it's worth it. We feel like they should have some kind of say in it.
The guys, by the guys, you mean the sober living residents?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is where we insert our commercial for drug testing cups.
For drug testing cups.
Here on Clean Breakthrough, we'd like to take a moment to pause and talk to you about Labicup.
Yeah, I was about to say, I couldn't even tell you the name of the company who makes them.
Nothing like mixing a bunch of urine with a million of
Oh my, yeah.
All sweet 18 panels coming to you at once.
Get your PP out of your wee-wee into the pack.
Oh my.
We got Kratom. We got Kava.
Oh god.
32
Right.
panels, more than any other cup out there.
God, I wish. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're back to it.
And we're back.
And we have the next one is there a requirement to attend AA/NA or other recovery meetings? And we are a 12-step based program. We do believe in that. So yeah, guys are required to go to 12-step meetings. Well, and that could be AA, NA, CA, HA, CMA. And that's just basically every drug you can think of with anonymous put after it. And so, yeah, in the beginning, they're required to do 90 meetings in 90 days. Then after that, they would step down to 5 meetings per week. And then after that, they would step down to 3 meetings per week. They are required to get sponsors to meet with them weekly, to work steps. We try to stay out of that as much as we possibly can, but just making sure that they're actually doing it, I suppose. So that's not something that we really want to like micromanage, other than just having the guideline that we do expect guys to work the 12-step program. Are residents expected to work, go to school, or volunteer?
Oh yeah. I think that's the beauty of sober living. Like once guys get out of treatment, which is more like a bubble of keeping someone isolated and keeping them in a really like lockdown, safe environment. The beauty of sober living is getting back into the real world, whether that's school, work, volunteer work. But as clinical structure is starting to taper off a little bit, you're picking up these real world experiences and getting back out there and getting comfortable in the real world while sober. Because I think that's a really hard thing to get used to for people who have been reliant on substances.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I'd say on the volunteer side, there are times we do volunteering through the office. Like we'll actually do a group and go volunteer. But yeah, most of our guys can start looking for jobs. You want to cover it out like time frame, like they start looking for jobs more or less around like that 30-day mark with us, like after they completed
like 6
PhD.
weeks, right?
Yeah.
4 weeks in. Yep. This is normally when guys
Sorry,
phase 1 to phase 2 after 30 days. So long as they have gotten a sponsor, they would phase up. And then at that point, they start looking for work. We do try to hold them off until that point so that I think a trend that we've seen is that guys can come in and immediately want to start talking about work or school or whatever. And we do want there to be like a base of recovery before that. And so more focus in phase one is supposed to be just kind of purely recovery before we get into what will inevitably be distractions like work and school and good distractions and necessary distractions in life, but nonetheless distractions. We want to have that base of recovery first. And then, we do allow guys to volunteer as like Cole said, they volunteer at the office, but that can also be a substitution of work or school if they are not wanting to do either of those two things. Most times we find that they say they want to do that, and then they realize they're basically just working for free while their peers are working for money, and then they pivot quickly to getting a job instead of volunteering. But that is an option for that reason, in case someone wants to do that and feels like work or school isn't for them right now. Is there a recovery program or structure beyond just housing?
Yeah, I'll take this one.
I got the next one's you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So along with all the support they're getting on the sober living side with like practicing life skills, like cooking, going to meetings, getting a job, they're doing a lot of therapy, particularly at the earlier part of the program. So when a client comes into our sober living, on the office side, they're admitted into what we call PHP level of care, which is partial hospitalization program. Essentially what that means is there's 6 hours a group during the week. So 5 days a week, 6 hours a group, 30 hours. We try to break that up because that's a lot of time. We go in and doing things like outside the office, trying to do groups like in places like the gym or playing pickleball, trying to make it interactive. And we also have a rotation of therapists who work in the groups. So it's not just like 30 straight hours for the same therapist doing the same thing. We try to make it pretty lively. And that will go on for the first 30 days that a client is with us. And then they will go into IOP level of care, provided that they moved up on the sober living side and done the things they need to do. They'll go into IOP level of care, which is intensive outpatient program. And essentially the time gets cut in half. They're doing 5 3-hour groups a week. So instead of being here for 6 hours a day, they're here for 3 during the week. And it gives them more time to job search, start working, really build that relationship with their sponsor, and just practice being a more functional like adult. And then over time, that goes from 5 groups a week to 3. They do that for roughly 2 months is the plan. And then they go into OP level of care, or what's called outpatient level of care, in which they're doing 1 group a week. And they do that for anywhere from 2 to 4, 5, 6 months. And they're only doing 1 group a week here for 3 hours. And then throughout this whole time, they are also doing individual sessions every week with their individual therapists, and their families are working with another therapist on staff doing family support sessions. So that is with like parents or a wife, working with them to try to help support their loved one and not kind of fall into the traps of like enabling and just figuring out how to like support them in an emotional way, but also giving the client the freedom to like have their own wins and not solving their problems for them. So yes, there is an extensive program that goes alongside sober living.
Thanks, Cole.
Yeah.
Kind of answered the next question as well. Are any clinical services offered or recommended? Therapy, IOP, etc.
Yeah, could you just repeat all of that?
Yeah.
Do it. Let me touch on the families for a little bit more though. So another thing we require is when a client comes to our sober living is that their family is involved. And so I mentioned earlier that each client has their own individual therapist, but their family also has a separate therapist. And that's the kind of split, like putting a therapist in like a weird spot of like having to talk to the parents and talk to the client. Gives a little more like separation there so they can really do the individual work. But the families are asked to do sessions at the beginning once a week and then it'll go down to every other week, and then about once a month towards the end of the program. But they also do a family support group once a week as well, and that's with other parents, typically other parents of members of our program. And I think that helps a lot. It's really good for them to get feedback from other parents on what's working well, what isn't. There's a therapist that runs that. And it helps a lot with the social isolation that can happen with parents who have a child that's struggling with addiction. It's easy if your kid's into soccer, you find the other soccer parents. If your kid's into swimming, you find the other parents of the swimmers. It's kind of hard when like your kid's into drugs and alcohol to find the other parents who can like relate to that experience. So there's a really nice community social aspect to the family group. And it gives parents opportunities from all over the country to be able to connect and find some shared victories together. So that's just another like element of the program that's really helpful and a really important part.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
What is the age range and demographic of residents?
Age range for us is 18 to 34, which is a bigger range, but it still tries to cater toward the younger adult male. We are male specific too, so that's an important question to ask. Is it a mixed population, or is it female or male specific? But I think it is so important to have age specificities to, how do you say that?
I think
Specificities.
I think you fell all right into that.
But I do think that that's really important to have people. It helps to build a community when you're building one around other people that's close to your age, that are going through a similar life stage as you are, versus like I'm 18 years old and I'm going into this sober living program with 60-year-olds. It just makes it harder to relate. It gives a great excuse of, they're all older than me. They don't understand where I am. So I think it creates more excuses of why you shouldn't keep down this path. But yeah, I couldn't stress that enough, of just age importance, or the age specific being an important factor.
Yeah, and quick anecdote on that. Some of it matters, some of it really doesn't. I mean, I've had 22-year-olds that are like, oh, he doesn't get it. Like, he's only 20. You wouldn't get it until you're 22, where you're just like, all right, man, you guys are 2 years apart. You're like basically the same. And then older guys that are like 32, 33 that are acting like, oh, these young guys are so different from me. And really they wouldn't be with us in the same style sober living if they weren't pretty similar in the ways they want to be so different. So what is the average length of stay? I would say 9 to 12 months. The program minimum is 7 months, but 9 to 12 is, I think, what we see for the most part. Again, and 9 to 12 months being not because they have to, but because a lot of times by that point they want to.
Hey, also really quick, I had to dive into this, and specificities is a word.
No, I said I think you fell into that all right. Like,
Okay, good.
you threw it out there, but I think, yeah, I mean, that's a real word.
Yeah.
How did you use it in a sentence though? You said age, specificity, treatment. What did you say? I can't remember how you used it.
I don't remember, but it seemed like the only word that would work.
No,
Okay.
you said it right.
You do.
It was
Let's
all
keep
good.
rolling, dude. Yeah. Can I tag on to what the question you just answered, Lucas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's important to emphasize, because when people hear 9 to 12 months, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to like in rehab for 9 to 12 months. I want to keep in mind that this is a sober living and outpatient recovery center. This is meant to be living your life, and this is a really important like structure that can help you on your recovery. But during the time, and we've seen this with a lot of our clients, during the time you're with us, you can do things like graduate college, get like your first big boy job, build like a relationship with a parent that you maybe haven't talked to for years, get really into like cool hobbies that you maybe have never like tried or have always like wanted to, or didn't even know you wanted to do, or get back into hobbies that you maybe like really love doing, like golf or tennis, or things that you used to do as a kid or as a teenager. It is meant to really give you support so you can stay sober and build your life outside of here and launch into that, not to keep you in a bubble so you're just like stuck under our thumb or anything like that. That is not the point at all. So I just want to be very clear about that. Though even a lot of our guys are with us for 9 to 12 months, they are meant to be like progressively less and less like here in the office or just sitting at the sober living, and meant to be out living in the greater Greenville community, which is a really cool place to be. So just wanted to tag on that real quick.
And that even starts at the soonest 5 months. Guys could be in our step up house where they're only going to 3 meetings per week, are doing some combination of work and school full time, or just one or the other. Their curfew's midnight. They have 3 overnights per week. It's like, that's why guys end up staying longer, is because once they get there, they kind of realize like, oh, this is basically just me living my life. Like almost the exact same level of freedom outside of doing drugs and drinking. Those are rules that we enforce all the way through there, you know? So a lot of times when I hear pushback, there's stuff that's veiled, but it's really, I can't drink and do drugs. And that's why I'm kind of pissed to be here this long.
Yeah. My biggest argument to that is when guys are like, oh, my life is over. This is going to be a huge setback for a year, for 9 months. It's like, no, I think like if you want to be successful in life, you want to have good relationships, you want to have a good job or get into a good school, you want to have an apartment on your own or get your own car, like we want all of those things for you. Like if that's what success is to you, we want you to have all of those things and we want to get you there sooner rather than later. But if it's going to set you back from drinking and using drugs, then you are correct, sir. Like, yeah, we are going to be a setback.
That is the name of the game. That is what we're here doing. What is the maximum number of residents in the home? So in our main house, that is 10 residents, and in the step-up house, that is 6 residents. So 16 total, but between those 2 homes. What does a typical day or week look like for
that one? Of the size of the home. So pros and cons of that I always like to tell parents. We are a smaller program with only 10 beds in our main program or in the main house. And the pros of that are the guys get a ton of attention. It's hard to fly under the radar. They get a ton of clinical attention. The con to that is they don't have a house full or a program full of 60 guys to relate to or try to bond with. So there's not as big of a pool to build that community. However, the community that you can build within a 10 bed home can be way more like tighter, solid. Mm-hmm. And then the con with a much bigger program is that you can fly under the radar a little better or a little easier, and you're not going to get the type of attention you get at a small private place.
For sure. What does a typical day or week look like for residents? I feel like I kind of went through that earlier of like waking up, morning meditation, normally the first thing. If you have any morning medications, taking those, doing chores, making your bed, doing drug tests if it's that day, looking at the grocery list if it's that day, and then going to group or work for the day, and then getting back. Someone would be cooking dinner, normally some kind of 12-step meeting that night. And there's free time mixed throughout there, whether that's like the hour break at the office, in the afternoon if you're not working, even if you get off in the afternoon, later afternoon, between dinner, meeting, or when you get done with all that, there's always hours of the day in there where there's still time for video games and watching TV and movies and doing puzzles and whatever. And then on the weekends, it's 10:30 a.m. is when they have to wake up so they can sleep in more on Saturday and Sunday. And we do some kind of activity on Saturdays. So like bowling, Top Golf, Carowinds, pickleball, park day, all that kind of stuff. And then on Sunday, they will do a deep clean of the house, a process group after that, where each guy gives each other feedback. And then the step up guys come over from their house to the main house, and they have a meeting together where we get pizza for everybody, and they hang out for an hour, do a house meeting together for an hour, and then depart, just to kind of keep those two communities linked. What is the monthly call? What does the monthly cost include? Rent, food, drug test, transportation. Do you want to take that one, David?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it. What does the cost include on our program would be the rent, housing, transportation, food, all groceries are provided. And the biggest thing is 24/7 staffing with certified coaches. That is the bulk of the cost of our program. And we are a higher cost program because we provide a lot of all those things I just mentioned, all of their memberships, gym memberships to UFC gym, rock climbing gym, all that stuff. And then that's a spectrum too. You can go much lower cost for a program, but you're going to get much less structure, support, and things that cost money, like gym membership, staff, drug test cups, groceries, transportation. So just a great question to ask and a good thing to weigh out.
Yeah. And the only thing I could think of that you didn't mention was like those paid activities on Saturdays.
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah.
are covered within the program as well. So as big as us going to like Carowinds, or as small as us just, them being driven to the park for the day, and then everything in between. Is there a deposit required? Are there refunds if I leave early?
Yeah, great question to ask. Any sober living you're looking at going into, for us, we always do things on a prorated basis. So you pay month by month. And if someone decided to leave halfway through that month or 3/4 of the way through that month, we're going to figure out the prorated amount of how many days they were with us. We're not looking to take any money that we didn't do the work for. But it is really good to know that information before going into a program of what is that. I mean, I've even heard of programs asking for 3 months up front, a big commitment, and then you may not get any of that money back if you leave after 20 days. So you want to know what you're getting into there.
For sure. Do you accept insurance for any services?
Insurance won't cover anything on the housing side. Insurance, they pretty much won't touch anything housing if there's not medical staff there 24/7. That's why they will cover like residential treatment. But as soon as you step into the sober living category or that realm, they're not going to touch it. Not with a 10-foot pole. However, on the clinical side, on the office side, they will touch clinical services. So insurance can kick in there to cover therapy, psychiatry. Even though we don't actually provide medication, often covers medication costs. But yeah, sober living is no-go.
Mm-hmm. And on the office side, we bill out-of-network insurance. So I have to have out-of-network insurance benefits because we have an out-of-network facility.
Correct.
Are the homes co-ed or gender specific? They are gender specific and they are male only. Is all we do right now. Are there shared rooms or private options? In the main house, all of the rooms are shared. There is the master bedroom that has been nicknamed the nursery that has 4 beds, a huge walk-in closet, and a big bathroom with a tub and a big shower and actually 2 toilets in the bathroom.
Yeah, a 900 square foot bathroom.
Yeah,
it's we recently found out.
So I think when guys hear like, oh my gosh, there's 4 beds to a room, like that's wild. That's so much. That room's pretty spread out. It also has doors with direct access to the screened in porch that wraps around the house. So pretty cool room to be in. And a lot of times guys go into that room, and even when they have the opportunity to switch rooms as people move out, they don't because they know that room's kind of the best. The next room is nicknamed the bunker. That's because it has 2 bunk beds in it. So also has 4 beds, but those 2 top bunks are really used as flex beds for us. So if guys are in those beds, it's pretty short term, normally at most like 2 to 4 weeks before someone else is moving out and then they're getting to switch to a different bed. And that room has its own bathroom as well. And then downstairs, we have the cave, which has 2 beds, and they share a bathroom with the recovery coach room down there. So only 3 to a bathroom down there. And that room's really considered a privilege to be in. being on its own level of the house with the recovery coach, sharing a bathroom with the recovery coach. Guys by that point really need to be to where they're picking up after themselves, not leaving a mess, being that they're sharing a little bit more of an area with staff. And then at the step up house, there is only one room where they share, and there are 3 beds in the first bedroom they would go into. And then there are 3 single bedrooms that they would have the opportunity to go into after that. And that is on a first come, first served basis and seniority. So as guys move out, whoever's next up would have the opportunity to get into one of those single bedrooms. So that's how the beds work.
Yeah, and I think it'd be good to say just an overall statement of pros and cons of that. I think it's really good to be forced to share a space in early recovery, and have some accountability with roommates and learn how to navigate that. Not only learn how to navigate roommates, but it forces you to not isolate, which is what we all love to do when we're in early recovery. We're feeling the depression and the anxiety of missing those substances that we used to use to cope with stressful situations. So I think it is such a therapeutic tool to be forced to like share a room, and like I said, navigate that.
And I would say in today's world too, we work with a lot of guys that I think it's just a generational thing as time goes on, that have always had their own room, their own TV, their own computer, their own phone. And I think there's just been like less familial sharing or like sibling sharing as time has gone on, and costs have come down for those things. So I think it's like a really good exercise in sharing one TV in a bedroom. And I always say too, we have 6 TVs in our house. If we can't make 6 TVs work with 10 guys at maximum, like we got bigger problems than how many TVs there are. And this is really more of like a sharing and like communal living issue. And like we have 2 living rooms in the main house, 2 different couches in front of 2 of the biggest TVs in the house. So like, it's not a supply issue. It's a demand issue and like a sharing issue.
Yeah.
Hey, Cole, do you have to go before we keep moving on?
What question are we on, Lucas?
We have 5 questions left.
Yeah, I'll balance, but you guys got it. I know y'all can do it. I believe in you.
All right. I just want you to know, if you keep having to dip out of podcast, you're never going to make
know.
the thumbnail, dude.
I know. That's okay. I might be okay with that, actually. All right, y'all, are any of those recovery centers specific though, Lucas?
One maybe kind of, but I mean,
Mostly sober living.
yeah.
We got it.
Okay. All right, cool. Y'all got it. I'll catch you later.
Okay.
Toodaloo.
See you,
All
Cole.
right, bye.
All right. Then we have, can I tour the house before committing? And absolutely yes.
Yeah. That's
we have
something we always do.
families come tour. We've had guys come tour. We've had like case managers even come tour that are looking for somebody. And so that's always an option to come look at the house, poke around, ask questions. How does this work? How does that work? What do you do in this room?
We would honestly prefer it. I think it eases a lot of stress and anxiety for the parents, for them to get a feel of like not only where their son is going to be, but who they're going to be around.
Mm-hmm. And I think for the guys too, whenever they come, because I think there's just this picture in their head of, oh my gosh, I'm going to treatment. It's this like 9-month program. I feel like they literally imagine like a prison in their heads for the most part.
Yeah.
And then they show up and just see like a residential house with guys like them in it, really just like living their lives. And I like it when they catch them kind of in the act, you know, of like, oh, I'm going to work. I'm making dinner tonight. I just got back from group. You know, I'm just to kind of see the full spectrum of like different guys in the program and what they're up to. And then it's like pretty normal, you know?
Yeah.
Next one is, are there testimonials or alumni I can speak with? And I know we have plenty of alumni that we can always connect guys with, and love to do that when someone wants to. We've also connected guys with people actively in the program right now, so they could say like, hey, I'm here. I've been here for 4 months. This is my life and what it looks like. These were my thoughts coming in, and here's where I am today. And then testimonials. Do we have testimonials on the website?
Yeah.
Testimonials there.
There on Google.
And I want to say in the past also we've connected families with alumni families as well. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
for the families to kind of also be able to ask questions from a family who's been through the program of like, what was it like? Did you like this? Did you not like that?
Yeah, I have a handful of families that have offered up talking to any new family. They're like, hey, if anybody ever wants to talk, we'd love to tell them like our experience and what we've gone through at Greenville Transitions. So that's certainly happened.
Yeah. So not afraid of that at all. Always happy to put forth our families and guys that have gone through the program to share their experience. And yeah, good, bad, and the ugly. What makes your sober living different from others? You want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, the two things that stand out to me is like how small we are, how involved owners are. So I would say just like the small and the privacy of ours, and then the structure and accountability. I think it's really hard to come by a sober living these days or a transitional living that offers the kind of structure, support, and accountability that we do. Which isn't for everyone. Like not everybody, not every young adult needs that level of structure and support. So, but there are some that do, and you know, they need the extra person that's not just going to throw them downtown and say, okay, go find a job. We'll come pick you up in 5 hours. They need the program that says, hey, let's sit down together and look at your resume and how we can tweak it and make it better. And let's maybe do some mock interviewing together because it feels like your interviewing process isn't going so well. And a coach that would like go with them to each specific interview to when they get back in the car, the coach can say, hey man, how did that go? Oh, let's run through it. Like what actually happened in there, what was said, and catch it while it's fresh on their mind. So it's like, I'd say that's where we stand out, is like going that extra step, the extra mile to really dig into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with those. I would also say length of stay. I think I don't know that used to be the case, but I feel like I see that more and more in the sober living world today, that places are shorter, you know, at least like mandated minimum lengths of stay, that it's really kind of more like, hey, like however long you want to. And ours definitely is like built in that it's a longer term program because we believe in long-term care for long-term recovery. How do you support residents through tough times like cravings or relapse triggers? I can take this one. I think that it's really on a case-by-case basis as to what it looks like. You know, if guys are talking about cravings and relapse triggers, that's already a great sign that they're talking about it and opening up about it rather than keeping it a secret or hiding it. And then, you know, just providing that accountability with it. And sometimes guys don't love that. Like I can think of a recent time that a guy was like talking about using his car to go relapse. And like day one, we just like talked it out, like, hey, like pros, cons, what does that look like? Play the tape forward. And he's like, all right, I'm not doing it. Day two, he said it again, talked about it, talked it through. Okay, I'm not doing it. Day three, now it's a Saturday. You know, slamming caffeine energy drinks, lying about where he's going to be, and then says it again. And it was like, all right, man, we're taking your keys for the weekend and like just kind of taking a break. Get through the weekend. We'll reassess it on Monday with clinical together. So, I mean, that's kind of how something like that could look like. We always just want to work through it and not have like consequences. But really for us, they're not consequences. They are just, supporting residents through tough times like cravings and relapse triggers. And if you're talking about using your car to immediately go use and drink, we're going to enact whatever we can to kind of save you from yourself short term and then provide you like better support long term to get through those tough times.
Yeah.
What is your approach to accountability versus support? I think that's a great question. And I mean, certainly the way that I hear it is like, how much do you kind of do for guys and like really, I know people don't like this phrase, but like hold their hands through versus hold them accountable that like, hey, you can do this and I'm going to hold you accountable to doing it. Because we can find a lot of feigned incapabilities, I guess you would say, like guys kind of pretending like, oh, I just don't know how to do this, you know, like I don't know how to cook a meal. And sometimes that's true. and we're going to jump in there and like show them how to cook meals. But then other times we'll kind of notice a pattern where guys are, kind of pretending like they don't know how to do stuff. And that's like a learned pattern that's way older than being with us, because they've been able to get parents to do it for them if they say they don't know how to do it. And so like, oh, could you do my application for me? Can you like write me out exactly what to say in my interview? And again, I think we always want to provide support with that and help, but without doing it for them. The reason being so that they can build self-esteem that they did it and not someone else did it for them. And I think a lot of these guys have a lot of self-esteem issues with feeling like, oh, my mom and dad have always done things for me. Things have been handed to me. Any trouble I've gotten into, I've been like plucked out of. Like I've really never faced accountability, good or bad. And I think giving those guys that gift is just unparalleled as far as like how that specifically helps someone in early recovery.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of the people that we work with, their families, their parents are high functioning people who are like used to getting things done. And that even means like probably started really early on. Like they're not putting their shirt on right. I'm just going to grab it and get it done so I can get out of the door. And it's something my mom and I were actually talking about this weekend as she came to see me in Greenville. She was like, there were so many things that it killed me to like have you go pick up your room before we would leave the house. And I'd tell you like, we're not leaving this house until you pick up your room, or like, we're not leaving this house until you get your laundry in the washing machine and get it started, because I have loads to do later. And she was like, I wanted so badly. I wanted nothing more than to go do it myself, just so we could get out of the door. I know I could get it done faster than you, probably better than you at the time. But I'm so thankful that I like held that line with all of my kids. And that's what we're trying to do with all of the guys in our house, because there are programs out there they have in-house laundry service. They'll do all of their laundry for them. They have in-house chefs. They'll prepare all of their meals for them. But at the end of the day, we're trying to walk the line here of like not doing too much for them and allowing them to do enough, as you said, to like fill up that pride tank, like give them something to feel good about, some wins for the day. And that's what creates long-term sobriety, is like, you have to accomplish enough in your recovery journey to feel good about that journey and want to stay in it. And if you're not accomplishing things, you're not getting things done, you're not filling up that pride tank, who would want to stay sober? So that's a constant battle for us, even as staff, to figure out like, hey, what is doing too much for this person that they could be doing for themselves?
Yeah, I've definitely got caught in that before, especially with like cooking or something, where they're just kind of like doing it really poorly in front of me on purpose, knowing that I'm going to be like, that's not how you cut an onion, and like show them how to cut it. And then maybe 2 or 3 times into that, realizing like, oh, this is a con to get me to do it for him, because every time he like does it poorly, I step in, because it's just hard to watch him, not do it correctly or whatever. And I think just given that, I think that's a gift to be given to guys, is like their struggle, their fight through it. Where they feel like they actually did it, even if it doesn't come out perfect or even well at all. I mean, I can think about a guy who did chicken cordon bleu. I keep relating stuff to food, and the chicken was raw in the middle, by the time he served it. But like, he put so much time and effort into it, and we just, really threw a lot of like praise onto his effort, even though the chicken didn't come out fully cooked.
Yeah.
Like tried to shine as bright a light as we could on like how hard he worked towards it and how much effort he put into it, and that we really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think accountability versus support is like really like the name of the game when it comes to sober livings, and especially like ours, because we could have a private chef and just factor that into the price. We could have a laundry service and just factor that into the price. We could have a cleaning crew and factor that into the price. But we believe that when these guys leave us, they're going to need to know how to cook for themselves. They're going to need to know how to do their own laundry, pick up their own area. They're going to need to know these skills and not have them just done for them. It's just not realistic long term. Not to knock anybody who does that. That's just our view on it, that we think that we're trying to prepare them for the real world.
Hmm. Is that it?
That's it. That's number 26.
That's
26 questions, 26 answers.
Well, that's an awesome list to take with you as you're looking into places. So if you're a parent out there who needs questions to ask any sober living, any transitional living facility, That's a pretty good list. And we gave you our answers just as something to compare them to kind of see where you want to fall in the list or in the lineup. You know your kid better than anyone else, and you know deep down what kind of, if you're honest with yourself, what kind of structure and support they need. But this list is a good way to navigate that.
Absolutely. And David, I'm sending those questions to you to put them in the bio.
I could
For
put
the description of the YouTube video, just so people can have them for themselves to ask, because I think that is just such a good list of like really covers everything. If you're looking for sober living, no matter who it is, if it's a son, a husband, a parent, I mean, I think all those are really good questions.
Yeah, I'll link it. Sweet. Well, that's all we have for now.
That's it.